Hello, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Accent B7c from Aputure. And to get started, we're just going to jump straight into the box and see what it comes with. So when you open up the box, you're immediately greeted by an instruction manual, which I didn't read, but I probably should have, and the B7c itself. So for now, we're going to set the bulb aside just to see what else we get in the box. And there's nothing underneath that foam block that the bulb is kind of seated in. We just have this little black box left. And inside that little box, we have a cool carrying case for the bulb. I guess if you want to take the B7c with you to set or a location to film, this pouch will just help keep it a little safer in your bag. But personally, I'll probably end up leaving it in my lamp for the most part and then taking it out when I want to use it for B-roll and like a cool item in the background. All right, so going back to the bulb itself, it does have a good amount of weight to it. The body is made out of aluminum, which helps with the heat dissipation while you're using this for long periods of time. And the diffusion on the top is a unique toroidal design. According to Aputure's website, this helps with diffusion and creates a more even light. And on the bulb itself, you have 3 buttons. This lets you control the power, the intensity of the light, and switch through a few different presets without pulling up the Cytoslink app on your phone, which can be a hassle sometimes. These buttons also let you switch between AC and DC mode, which is a really cool feature of this bulb that I'll talk about in just a few minutes. And on the bottom, you have a pretty standard E26/27 connector, so you can plug this into pretty much any lamp that you can find. This just helps make it a lot easier to integrate the B7c into the lights you already have, or the lights that you might find on location while you're filming. And once you have it out of the box, the B7c is incredibly easy to get up and running. So you can either just turn it on using the power button and then adjust the settings that you can using the controls on the bulb itself, like I mentioned before, or you can have it plugged into a lamp like I do, and you can control the various settings using the Cytoslink app. And the feature I was talking about earlier is kind of my favorite feature of this bulb. It's where you can switch between AC mode and DC mode. So in AC mode, this bulb acts just like a normal light bulb, in which case you can just turn it on and off when you turn the lamp on and off. And when the B7c is in AC mode, it'll just store the last used settings that it had that you set on it, if that makes sense. So if I set it to blue and I turn the lamp off, it'll be blue when I turn it back on. But the B7c also has its own internal battery, and this allows you to plug this bulb into lamps that can't reach power or they don't have an outlet near them, so you can still use them as practicals, or you can even just carry this around and put it on a table because you think it looks cool in the background of things. And according to Aputure's website, when you're running this thing in DC mode, the battery is expected to last between 70 minutes and 20 hours. And of course, this is all based on what brightness and settings you have it at. 20 hours is going to be if you have it at like the lowest brightness and lowest intensity. 70 minutes is if you have it at 100% maximum brightness, it'll just burn through power. Now, I'm sure you've noticed there isn't a USB port on this, so you're probably wondering, how do I charge this? And I think that is my favorite feature. It's just so convenient. You charge this bulb by plugging it into a lamp. It's genius. I'm fairly certain that if this thing had to be plugged into USB, I would never plug it in. I would just forget about it, and then when I went to use it, it'd be dead, and then I wouldn't use it. The convenience of just like leaving it in a lamp and it charges while you have the lamp on is so amazing. Now, one area I see this being a problem in is if you just keep it in the pouch and you leave it in your camera bag or something like that, you never put it in a lamp to charge, then you'd have to find a lamp to take the bulb out of and put this in so you can charge it. But alternatively, if you wanted to have like a few of these to take with you, Aputure does make the set of, I think it's like 8 or 12 with a charging case, so you can just have them all charging in the case and you don't have to worry about plugging them into lamps. But moving on to the actual light in the light bulb, the B7c is full RGBWW with CRI of 95+. So what this means to me, not knowing what not fully understand what CRI is, I watched one Gerald Undone video. So you can pretty much pick any color you want in the app using the little color wheel, and it'll be accurate, and you don't have to worry about it flickering or causing any color cast when you have it in just white light. And speaking of white light, the color temperature of this bulb can be set anywhere from 2000 to 10,000 Kelvin, which is a huge range, and I haven't seen any issues when transitioning between the cooler tones and the warmer tones. It is pretty seamless. I don't see any point where it kind of quickly judders between cool and warm. And as for color light, this bulb can cover up to 90% of the Rec 2020 color space. Now, I had to Google what Rec 2020 was when I was writing the script for this video, and I'm still a little bit confused on it, but basically you can set this to pretty much any color you want using the Cytoslink app, and it'll work. And speaking of the app, the last thing I'll touch on are the 2 different ways you can control this bulb. So first off, you can use the buttons like I mentioned before to turn the bulb on and off, adjust the brightness up and down, and jump through a few different presets, along with switch between AC mode and DC mode. And luckily Aputure put this really useful guide right on the bulb itself, so you know which button combinations do what, so you don't have to worry about looking it up or going to find your manual. Alternatively, you can also use the Cytoslink app, which is how I prefer interacting with the light bulb because it's a little bit easier than just pulling it out of a lamp, pushing the buttons and plugging it back in. This connects to your phone via Bluetooth and it's automatically picked up when you plug it in. And I cannot stress how convenient this is to be able to just connect to the bulb using the app that it comes with using Bluetooth, compared to logging into the bulb's Wi-Fi network that it would output and then going back to the app, connecting that to your Wi-Fi, and then connecting back to your Wi-Fi and hoping it works. It never works for me. This is almost kind of like an Apple AirPods level of convenience, where you just kind of flip them open and it connects to your phone if it's right next to it. And along with the B7c, you can also see other Aputure lights that you might have connected to your Cytoslink app. Like for example, you can see that I have both of my MCs here and I can control all 3 bulbs together or individually. So this I can create like a whole scene and have the MCs doing one thing that are programmed and then having the B7c doing something else. Or if I want to set them all 3 to different colors. And for each light you have in your Cytoslink app, you have a ton of control over it. Starting with just white light, you can adjust the color temperature and intensity from the app. Alternatively, you can also match other lights in your room using the source match feature. So you just take a picture of it, it matches the color temperature, and it sets the B7c to blend in well so it doesn't look like you have 2 different color temperatures in a single scene. Moving on to the color section, you can either choose a color from the color wheel that they have in the app. Alternatively, you can also scan a color using their color picker feature, which is incredibly fun. I do get carried away. And last but certainly not least, you have the effects tab. And these effects are pretty standard between the B7c and the MC, so if you've seen the MC's effects, you'll be pretty familiar with these. You have a ton of different effects to pick from, but a couple of my favorites are paparazzi, fire, and party mode. You can actually see how I use paparazzi in this video up here with my MC to make a at-home iPhone ad. And along with each effect, you also have a few different options, so you can adjust settings like the intensity and the frequency of the effect. Overall, I really like the Aputure B7c, and I think it's going to be a great addition to my 2 MCs to get some really cool lighting in future videos. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like down below. And while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe for more future videos about tech, cameras, and making. Here's my video about the Aputure MC, and here's a video that YouTube thinks you're gonna like the best.